Are we going to see an April showdown with silver and gold? I'm going to explain. We also get into the coin of the realm. Keep hearing this phrase. I don't actually agree with it 100%, folks. I'm going to explain why. Let's get into the video. Please like, share, and subscribe. We just hit over 5,600 subscribers. Thank you all so much. How fast can we get to 5,700? How fast can we get to 6,000? Thank you all. If you're not yet subscribed, I'd love to have you join us. You're going to get the truth on this channel. I do 2 videos a day. And we're going to get the truth out and let you know what's going on at the coin shop as well. Let's get into it. You know, I'm hearing a lot of YouTubers out there saying silver and gold are going to take off in April. Some of the big guys are saying it too. You know, I watched a video with Canadian Prepper last night. He had Peter Schiff on. Some people like Peter Schiff, some people don't like him. That's absolutely fine. You know, that's your judgment call. But Peter Schiff has been right a lot of the times. His timelines may be off. Nobody can pick the perfect timeline. And looking forward to what he said, you know, if they reevaluate gold, yeah, gold could take off to $10,000 to $15,000 an ounce. Why is the central banks keep buying gold, folks? Follow the money. That is what we need to do. I'm not saying go out and rush and buy gold, go rush out and buy silver. That's not what I'm saying here. There's a reason for it, though. We just don't know exactly what's coming down the pipeline. Do I think we're going to see an explosion of silver and gold in April? Yeah, it could happen, all right? I'm not going to take that. Everything's on the table. But I think you guys know how I run my channel. I don't try to blow everything up into one big cloud because it might not pan out in April. It might wait off until May. We don't know if President Trump's going to really put the tariffs on April 2nd or not. If that does happen, yes, we could see some price spikes in silver and gold. If he kicks the can down the road until May, it could just level it off for the month. Look, I'm not here to pick sides. You guys know that. I'm here to tell you guys what I'm thinking is going on. Yeah, there's a chance of it taking off in April. Okay? I always say cost average your stack. Don't get fear of missing out. You know, yeah, there is a silver shortage. And let me describe that so people can understand what I'm saying. When you go on to, let's say, pinbacks.com, channel sponsor, or you're going on to another website, or you're going into your local coin shop, you might see so-called plenty of silver or gold. Okay? What we're seeing behind the scenes, what you're not seeing, what people are not seeing out there, is the supply chains getting very hard to source stuff. And yes, it might dabble in here, dabble in here. I'm trying to give people a warning. Pinbacks is only warning on the silver quarters. They're having a problem getting silver quarters from the suppliers right now. Look, I don't know when those silver quarters are going to come back in. Right now, we have silver quarters at the shop that I work for. We're struggling with the dimes. I'm hearing reports from you, folks. Or email me. Your coin shop's out of 90% silver completely. Some of you guys are still saying you got plenty out there. Well, you know, at some point, they're not making any more 90% silver pre-64. Yes, they're making in the new stuff, but they're making in very small amounts. Okay? They can make 10-ounce silver bars all day long. They can make 5-ounce silver bars all day long. It's going to have different names on them. It's whatever that you like out there. Yes, those things are going to be available. But it's going to be at what price? I love 90% silver. I love 40% silver. I love 35% silver. Yeah, I like the coin of the realm. But let's talk about that. Because there's a lot of misleading, to me, it's misleading information. Okay? Don't get me wrong. 90% silver is great. 35% silver, in my opinion, is great. 40% silver, in my opinion, is great. Notice how I said in my opinion. So, with that being said, let's talk about the Florida law. They're talking about it now in the state. If they passed a law in Florida, anything stamped 99949 is fine. It will be recognizable as a tradable money in the state of Florida. 90% silver is not stamped, folks. So it would not be recognizable as legal tender in the state. That does not mean that a store or peer-to-peer persons can trade in 90% silver, because it's happening now. So let that being said, so the coin of the realm theory is not always the best thing for everybody in every single state. I do believe, yes, you should stack your own country's old silver coinage. I do agree with that. But I also agree with stacking 5-ounce bars, 10-ounce bars. Some people may like the kilos. Some people may like the 100-ounce bars. Hey, whatever floats your boat. I don't think we're going to see, again, in my opinion, I don't think we're going to see too much of a pullback on 10-ounce silver bars, 5-ounce silver bars when you turn, if you have to sell it for fiat dollars or be able to trade it with. It's still liquid, folks. You can still take 90% silver into your local coin shops and get fiat dollars with it. You can still take 5-ounce silver bars into your local coin shop and get fiat dollars for it. What happens when the fiat dollars go away? You know, no, taxman may not be taking 90% silver here in Florida unless they revamp the law once again. They would take this silver bar. They will take this silver bar as payment towards your taxes. So it's based on where you live, for one. You know, I have a mix of everything. You guys seen it. I mean, all right, I got a mix of rounds, bars. I've shown you guys a lot. I've got graded coins. You know, some people like the graded coins. Some people don't. I got these. They were a good deal on eBay at the time when I got them. I picked them up, folks. You know, coins like this, if they were raw, they'd be $25 in the shop that I work for. I got these for about 25 bucks graded. I didn't pay the grading fee. All right? I didn't pay the grading fee. So to me, yeah, they're worth about 55 bucks each. Yeah, now you got to find a buyer for it. I'm not looking for a buyer. You know, I'm just not looking for that right now. That's probably going to be for later on. So when people talk about the coin of the realm, you know, it's you know, it's your personal decision how you want to stack. Okay, I'm not gonna say don't stack the 90% silver. Don't stack 5-ounce silver bars, 10-ounce silver bars. Me personally, you guys know how I stack. I don't own anything bigger than a 10-ounce silver bar or round or coin. 10 ounces is my limit, me personally, and that is the way I look at it. I want to reach out. I want to thank channel sponsor Pinbacks for sponsoring my channel, Coin Shop Chris. They still have the rolls of silver dimes on special, folks. 5 rolls or more, 124 bucks as a recording of this video. So if you're interested in silver dimes, get them now before they are gone from that source out there. 90% silver to us, yeah, it's getting hard to source. And if you can pick it up, folks, you got the funds to do it, you like 90% silver, stack it, you know. I wouldn't, you know, who knows what's going to happen next. We had a little bit of a down day Friday, okay? Silver and gold. It's one day, folks. I think Monday we're going to be going right back up. That's just my personal opinion. We could have another down day Monday. We keep in mind, nobody knows what's going to happen next. Nobody does. I don't have no crystal ball. Yeah, I can make a prediction. No, I was kind of right about March. Mid-March, worked out for mid-March. But there's one thing I was wrong about mid-March. I thought we were going to see more bank crashing in March. Mid-March. That didn't happen yet. Okay? We're going into next week here, and we're going to get outside the zone of mid-March. Is that waiting for mid-April? Mid-May? Who knows? Again, my predictions are not always spot right on. But, you know, nobody's always spot right on. And, you know, I encourage people to check out Canadian Prepper with Peter Schiff. It's an hour-long video, folks. I understand it's a lot of time to watch a video for. You don't have to watch the whole thing. But I think he broke that down very good of what his opinion is. Nate's very good of asking the questions as well to him. So I got to give a kudos out to Nate over Canadian Prepper. He does a lot of, if you guys know who I'm talking about, he does a lot of prepping videos as well. He's got good information on his channel as well. I like the guy. I think he's got some good content over there as well. So with that all being said, I want to tell you what's going on with the shop. We had the guy come in with his wife. And the wife wanted silver, okay? And she, hands down, she puts down $5,000. Never bought silver or gold in her life. Didn't know a lot about silver and gold. Husband knew nothing. And she says, what do you recommend for me to get with this? I said, I'm saying to myself, here we go again. So I'm asking, I said, you want to come back to my office? I said, I want to ask you guys some questions. I don't want to get, it's a little bit steady in here. I don't want people getting nosy with your business. So they came back. And she was watching some YouTube videos. I'm not going to name the channels that she mentioned to me. People putting a lot of fear out there about silver and gold is going to the moons and make you rich, blah, blah, blah. All right, those type of videos. And I'm talking to her, and I says, look, silver and gold are probably never going to make you rich. Silver and gold are for hedge against inflation and protect your wealth. So the husband says, see, I told you you're not going to get rich. I says, well, sir, I didn't say that. I said, I didn't say that either. I said, it's not intended for that. Could silver and gold spike up later this year? I said, could it spike up next week? It could. I said, but we have to realize we need more of these, folks, today than we did back in the 1990s for the same goods and services. Silver and gold have kept up with the inflation during that time. And so he kind of backed down a little bit. So I'm asking some questions. They have no house debt. They have a little bit of a car payment left, about $2,000. They said they can pay that off in the next couple months. Maybe 4 months. They maybe up to 4 months. Trying to get that paid off. And I said, okay. I said, you guys are working, I'm assuming. And they said, yeah, we both have steady jobs. I said, are you sure you have steady jobs? And they said, well, yeah, we think so. I said, okay. I says, so then then I kind of asked them what their budget is, how much they spend for food and their light bill and stuff like that. I says, look, you're kind of like me. I says, you're not planning to buy a new car because you're paying one off now, right? They said, no, we're not planning to buy another car for several more years. I says, okay. And I said so their light bill was only like $150 a month. I said, okay, the water bill's $85 a month, whatever it was. It was not much. And I said, oh, all right, you're kind of like in my spending zone. And I says, for me, I says, I don't stack gold. I said, I do some gold backs. And I said, I got a little bit of very fractional gold pieces. Very small, folks. And they said, okay. And they said, well, what do you recommend? And I said, I would recommend you guys get 90% silver. Right now, I don't have dimes. And I got halves. I got quarters. I says, silver eagles, silver maples. Coin it around, but not all in the same country, right? So she says, well, do you recommend when you spend it all today? I said, no. I said, I wouldn't even do half to this today. I says, I would start out with some junk silver today, wait till Monday, wait till Tuesday, see what the market does. I said, yeah, the market could go up, and the market could go down. Play cost averaging. I said, I wouldn't jump it with both feet. I said, now, are you prepared to hold on to this for the next 15 plus years? And she says, well, I don't know. Something might come up. I said, okay. I said, do you have a savings account? She said, well, we get a couple thousand savings. I said, great. So you got some coverage there. I says, cost average your stack. That's what we're trying to tell people, folks. they were appreciative. All right, they bought three tubes of silver maple leaves today, and that is what they did today. Good for them. They took my opinion, not really advice. They took my opinion. They says, we would thought you would try to oversell us. I said, that's not what we try to do here. All right, we don't try to oversell people. We try to help people as much as we can. And that is what I'm trying to help you guys, some of the newer stackers out there, to understand a little bit at a time, it adds up. That's how I've stacked. Yes, you see a pile of silver quarters and a row of Franklin silver halves on your screen today, and you see a lot more that, the germanium mint bars. Yeah, it does not come overnight. All right, it does not come overnight. And so hopefully these people got the idea of don't jump in with both feet. The guy with the dimes didn't come in. He called us up and he says, I'm going to wait till Monday and see what happens with the market on Monday. So I'm not going to bring any dimes on this. That's absolutely fine. So he's going to wait on that. I had another person try to come in and sell today some gold. Another painc seller trying to sell gold. And so I talked to him, and he says, no, I don't need the money, but I'm afraid gold's going to go down. I said, then what are you going to do with the cash? I said, put it in the bank? He says, well, yeah. I said, what is that going to get you? I says, inflation's going to eat that away, right? You put it in the bank? He says, well, I was going to put it in a CD. I said, okay, at what rate? 4%. I said, you think inflation is really 4%, sir? He says, no, according to shadow stats. This guy knew he was talking about. He says, it's up to 8-9%. I says, so you put in a CD for 6 months, like I said. You get 4%. And you're thinking inflation is 8%, like shadow stats is saying. How are you gaining? He says, you made a good point. Never mind, I'm not selling. Sometimes, folks, we have got to think outside the box. Sometimes it takes somebody else to help somebody else out there. Cost average your stacks, folks. Think about if you have to sell, that's one thing. If you don't need to sell, don't do it. Not financial advice, just my opinion. Don't flip and do it. If you guys have questions for me, my email is always in the description of every single video. If you're not yet subscribed, come join us. We have a lot of fun here. I'm going to give you guys the updates. We got pinbacks. I got shops around the country I'm in contact with. Not too many channels have that. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for watching. Also, please check out my good friend Sobriety in Silver YouTube channel. He's doing a great job over there. That's Sobriety in Silver. He does some sobriety talk with drinking and drugs, and he's newer stacker, over 200 days of stacking, over 1,200 days of being silver. Good for him. Congratulations to you, my friend. Until the next video, Coin Shop Chris is out. We will catch you in the morning.